Right, I'm bored of having this argument, so Puppet Simon is going to say it for me. Puppet Simon, please go.
Yes, I'd probably agree with you right now that Rampage isn't a must-see show, but it's clearly getting better, and also, I don't know what else to tell you. Why don't you go get a real problem? Like maybe your finances are bad, or your relationship's in trouble. These are the things you should be focusing on. It's just a wrestling show.
Thanks, Puppet Simon. Let's up those doubts. So yes, I can feel it in my bones that I do think Rampage is about to take a step up, and our first match was proof of that, because the AEW tag team titles were on the line, because the Acclaim had issued an open challenge, and it was answered by Private Party. So yes, I can feel it in my bones that I do think Rampage is about to take a step up, and our first match was proof of that, because the AEW tag team titles were on the line, because the Acclaim had issued an open challenge, and it was answered by Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade, so they must have closed up early. Max Caster and Anthony Bowens are so insanely over though, because nearly the whole time during this, the fans were chanting, "Scissor me daddy." I mean, it happened at the start of the match, it happened in the middle of the match, it happened at the end of the match, and as I always advise you, go and find someone that doesn't watch wrestling today and sing this chant at them, and then feed back to me. There's also this one bit where the Butcher and the Blade looked at Isaiah Cassidy and said, "You better tag us in," and Isaiah was like, "No, why would I do that?" And he made a very good point, he wanted to win. Double B just stormed in there anyway, and they were mighty pissed off, so maybe, just maybe, their business is down. And they stopped Private Party from hitting the silly string. They absolutely killed them. And then they did the same thing to Bowens, and this is when I remembered, oh yeah, they're a really good tag team, they should be featured more. He really did kind of take over for a while too, until Anthony Bowens was able to hit the super kick. But just as he was about to tag in Max Caster, once again the Butcher and the Blade were like, "No, we're trying to make a profit here, you better get back in this ring." It did allow Mark Quinn to steal the tag, and all of a sudden it was Private Party going against Butcher and the Blade. And this is when the whole damn thing went mad, The tag klaxon went off and we were just getting move. I mean, the Blade got the best of it after he hit the Dr. Bomb for a near fall, but just when they were going for their finish, Private Party turned the tables, because they were like, "No, you're not going to do that." And everyone tumbled to the outside. During all of that, Bowens had also made a blind tag. Caster came off the top and he took everybody out. And then given that the Blade had rolled back into the ring, or had been put there, he got hit with the arrival, he got hit with the mic check, 1, 2, 3, we were done. Not only are the Acclaimed still your tag team champions, but they are killing it right now. Getting up. This was totally random because we haven't seen Private Party or Butcher and the Blade in a match for ages, but I really enjoy these guys who actually made me feel all warm and fuzzy in my tum-tum. Also, even better than that, Mark Hardy was watching Private Party during this in the back on a television at a normal angle, so we planted more seeds there. Let's just hope it doesn't vanish off our screens. Lexi Nair was then interviewing the Gun Club and Stokely Hathaway, and the Gun Club basically went, "Listen, FTR are jokes, they're pieces of crap, and every single titles they hold are the equivalent of a mouse eating some cheese." So quite clearly we are going to do that match, and then it was straight into another interview, because we were talking to Jade Cargill. She was doing her usual stuff going, "Please, nobody can beat me," when Vicky Guerrero, Nyla Rose, and Marina Shafir interrupted, but it was made so obvious that we are going to do Jade versus Nyla, and I was so damn happy. Nyla Rose being featured more is never a bad thing, and actually, even though it's not going to happen, I'd make her the champ. The strangest then continued, because it was Fuego del Sol versus Lee Moriarty. What is going on? Of course, this probably ties into the hurricane, which is just ravaging Florida and stopped people getting to the shows, and I hope everybody down there is okay. But it also did give us a chance to focus on the firm, who have been unfocused since they did debut, because Lee Moriarty's got a new aggressive attitude now. Fuego del Sol doesn't, so he wrecked him. And it can't have gone more than a minute or so, and eventually Fuego had to tap out in the Boston City stretch. This is when W. Morrissey, who was at the ringside, he got in, he applied the claw, and he hit this absolutely horrible choke slam. So these guys are standing tall, especially with W. Morrissey. Apparently you can't teach that. So we do have to keep an eye on this, not 100% sure where it is going, and it was very short and sweet. As I always say, was I offended by it? No. This was a crazy heavy interview episode of Rampage 2, because we were back with Lexi, who was talking to Adam Page 10 and Evil Uno, and she turned to the Hangman and said, "Well, you must be in a great mood because you're Willy Wonka now." This was of course because he won the Golden Ticket Battle Royal. This is when Andrade and Jose the assistant walked in, and as ever, Andrade was just like, can I buy you? No, can I buy you? Why will nobody let me buy them? It actually got quite serious though, because Andrade and 10 did talk about the fact that we're coming up to the anniversary of Brody Lee's death, and Andrade wants to take on 10, and if he wins, he gets the mask that 10 is wearing that was gifted to him by Brody Lee. 10 was totally cool with this too, but he fired back, alright, but if you lose, you have to leave AEW forever. So bravo Andrade and everybody else on social media, because he was tweeting out things like going, I want to leave, I want to go, I don't want to be here anymore. And now I presume it was tying into this story. Maybe he's being real when he's going to leave. It has made me super intrigued about all this though, and that's all you have to do, no matter what method you use to do it. Then we got double interruptions. Man, when do you ever get double interruptions? Because Ethan Page and Stokely were here, and they were all like, listen Andrade, you should be keeping an eye on Private Party, because I'm pretty sure we saw them tampering with their contracts because of everything with Matt Hardy. Now look, I don't mind them taking shots at WWE, which is what I think this was. I think that we needed that. Jamie Hayter versus Willow Nightingale was next in what I dubbed the match where nobody should lose. Basically, Hayter should have continued to break away from Britt Baker, beat her, and then gone on to become the AEW champion. And every flipping time Nightingale is in the ring, not only does she just show all these awesome moves, but every single person loves her. I think it's time to pull the trigger. This is why it was a little bit of a shame why they were fighting here, because both of them would have benefited by having a win, but even so, Willow hit this like cartwheel pump kick at one point, which when Jamie was like, all right, if you're gonna do that to me, I'm gonna choke you out. He also wrecked Willow's head with this Uranagi that somehow turned into a back neck breaker thingamajig. But Nightingale was having none of this because she came back with the pounce, which sent Jamie Hayter flying out the ring. That was really good. Willow continued with the DVD, and while I never thought she was going to win, I did start to believe a little bit, but then she made that 2022 wrestling error. She started climbing up the ropes, and I was like, don't do it. Because surprise, surprise, Britt Baker, who was on the outside, started casting distractions. She grabbed Willow Nightingale's foot. The referee didn't see it, which allowed Jamie Hayter to get back in control. But I tell you, she picked Willow Nightingale up off the damn turnbuckle and gave her this German suplex that you need to see to believe. She finished her off with a big clothesline to get the win, although as I've already said, both these guys are going to be massive stars, although we did just mention distraction finish, so bring it down. There it is, the brand new AEW distraction counter. WWE is already up to 2, and All Elite Wrestling rolls up to 1. Don't worry about that though, up. I then got very, very sad and very, very happy, like when I go to visit my parents and then I leave. Because we got a brand new promo for a brand new tag team in AEW, which is Wardlow and Samoa Joe coming together, and I think they called them War Joe. Now that is awesome, it rocks, I love both of these guys, but I'll level with you, I just don't want them in a tag team. I want them fighting individuals on a one-on-one basis, or even better still, I want them fighting each other. However, we do have to let it play out, because I've now got a funny feeling deep down in my Tootsie Toes that maybe that is the end goal here. They'll have a few tag team matches, they'll turn on each other, it will then be TNT title versus Ring of Honor TV title, and whoever wins that can merge the belt, because AEW does have too many championships to begin with. So actually, I'm very excited about this, and I'm just going to let it play out, because for goodness sake, just let them go to war. Joe? See, it doesn't work. This episode of Rampage was then a bit all over the place because Ryan Nemeth walked out and he was all like, man, I hate everyone, I hate you, and your nan absolutely sucks as well, which brought Hook to the ring, and as his music played, he just beat him up and applied the red rum. He then walked to the back as his music continued to play. When the Trustbusters came out to the top of the stage, they put a contract down and Hook picked it up and he walked off. Now look, I was totally cool with this because it did get me intrigued. I was like, maybe he's going to join them, maybe something's going to happen here. But he was not given time to breathe, and it came and went so quickly, I wasn't even 100% sure what happened, and I had to go and double check on the internet. And I'm sorry, that is absolutely ridiculous. So you do have to give it a down. Tony Schiavone then told us via a video that Swerve Strickland is still very upset about his tag team title loss. And come Dynamite, he is probably going to interrupt the Acclaimed when they are celebrating National Scissor Day. I tell you, if he does do that, he's never going to be able to be a good guy again. We also had this great video for Hangman Adam Page versus John Moxley for the AEW title. And honestly, I love Page so much it's ridiculous. Because he was all like, the fans are going to be behind me. I'll tell you, the fans. I love the fans. When he found out that it was going to be in Moxley's hometown, he just broke as a human. The dude just gets it. Which brought us to yet another bizarre main event. Rush versus John Silver. I mean, why? Why the flub not? I do get it though for all the reasons we've talked about when it comes to the Hurricane. And yes, at one point after John Silver had done something good, he took the mick out of the Tranquilo pose. That's like, I tell you, one day this guy's gonna get a push. He's gonna smash it. Sadly here, he got drop kicked in the back of the head, which is when Roosh started doing the Dark Order pose, so they were going tit for tat. But it wound up Silver so much, Roosh grabbed him, started throwing him over and over again into Barry Barricade. Roosh was just in super troll mode here, like his friend Andrade earlier too, because he then set Johnny Boy up in the corner, and he was gonna give him the bull's horns, which is his finishing move, but he ran, and he just kicked him instead. And I was like, Roosh, what are you doing, man? Like, if that's your finishing move, why didn't you finish him like you're playing Mortal Kombat and try to win? So, thinking about this all morning, and it actually doesn't make any sense. Johnny Hungy was able to come back from this, and he started hitting German suplexes like Germany had told them they were taking them back tomorrow. And he also hit this sit-out bomb for a really good near fall that freaked out Roosh so much, he started to punch him in the face. John didn't care, so he then followed up with a brain buster, and I started to believe he was going to win, as did Jose the assistant, who jumped up on a ring apron. Alex Reynolds was at ringside too with his friend though, so he stopped that, but you could just see what was coming here, because the referee didn't know what was going on, so Andrade was on the apron, he cast distraction, John Silver was distracted, Roosh bit him up, hit the bull's horns, 1, 2, 3, and he lost. Now I enjoyed this because it was yet more guys who needed TV time that got TV time, so it's gonna get an up. But how did we have 2 distraction finishes bring down the board? There it is, it rolls up to 2 on a show where a week ago AEW had a whole angle with the referee saying, we are not going to have these shenanigans anymore. And I don't mind you doing it, although I do think you have to limit it. But when you've tied it into a narrative and then that narrative didn't do anything, well, you gotta give it a down. There was some fallout to this too, because of course Andrade's group started to beat up the Dark Order when out came Uvel Uno and 10, but that brought out the Butcher and the Blade, so everybody was having a big schmoz, when out came Hangman Adam Page to balance the books and bring balance to the fall. He also hit Jose the assistant with the buckshot lariat after Roosh ran away, and I do think we're doing Adam Page versus Roosh on Dynamite, so that should be pretty good. And I thought this was a really fun way to end the show, and again, I'm not saying Rampage is back to where it once was, but it feels like it's taking the right steps in the right direction, so I am going to believe, because that's what I like to do, and it's getting it up. Now please do leave a comment below and let me know what you thought about last night's episode of Rampage. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com, follow us on social media, and watch a load of other videos, including SmackDown Ups and Downs, because I have it on good authority. That's now live. My name is Simon WhatCulture. Thank you for joining me at the weekend as always. Make sure you have a good one. See you soon.